Welcome back to the 99, where we're focused on brewing a better competitive commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, and today marks the first of 4 separate live stream sessions for the channel of this month. This month being February. That's right, we're celebrating February by doing one of these live streams every single week. There are different times orchestrated throughout the weeks that are coming up. However, there are going to be 2 Tuesday sessions like we regularly would have, as well as a Friday and a Saturday session. So if you're not on the Discord or you don't follow the channel already, stay tuned for those alerts for those dates and times. Now, all of the lists we'll be constructing for the month of February happen to be Patreon suggested, and one list suggested by you, the audience. So if you haven't seen my previous video regarding the February project, I'll encourage you to watch that now to see how you can place your own vote as to which legendary you would like to see on the channel. Now, I have Kelsien the Plague in front of me, and if you couldn't guess by the title of this video, this is a Patreon suggested list. Of course, if you want to follow along with this deck tech and playtest Kelso as we go along, you could do so by following the link I left in the live chat. It should still be there. Maybe someone can repost it for me if it isn't. But I'll go ahead and drop that in the link a little bit later as well once the list is complete. Obviously, we haven't gone to that point. But how's everyone doing? Hi. What did everyone eat for breakfast? I'm just going to make sure you're all there in the comment section down below. Made a casual Kelsey. Casual Kelsey. I'm sure it's good. So finally kill me with Kelsien's ability. Well, and that's never going to happen. No one's going to kill you with Kelsien's ability. Unfortunately, it's only target creature. But one could hope. So I guess we should start there. What does Kelsien the Plague do? And I'm not going to lie, I really like this creature. I don't think it's cEDH. I'm not sure we can get it there, but that's the, whole intention of today's video, to see how high we can take Kelso here. And Kelsien the Plague, for red, white, black, so it's Mardu, legendary creature, human assassin, 2/2 body. Oh, that's pretty weak, Pat. Why would you... Hold up. Vigilance, haste, no reach. I see the bow, but no reach. Kelsien the Plague gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I think there's like 2 other things that give us experience counters in Mardu. We're not playing them. However, you may tap Kelsey and deal 1 damage to target creature you don't control. When that creature dies this turn, you get an experience counter. So let's look at the positives first here. Aim for an eye, better they never see you. What about their other eye? Kelsey. If there's noises coming from outside, we just had a huge snowstorm here on the East Coast. So you're going to hear a lot of snow blowers and such in the background. So if Kelsey hits a thing for 1 damage, you can Pyroclasm and in turn kill that thing and get an experience counter. And what's cool is that the experience counters exist on you as a player, not necessarily Kelsey, despite Kelsey being benefited by these experience counters. I'm trying to decide on whether I like Kelso or Kelsey. I'm pretty sure it's a he for Kelsien. I'm going to stick with Kelsey. So Kelsey here gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have, and obviously those don't go away necessarily. I'm sure there's some effects that someone can play against you. Very unlikely in a cEDH setting to remove those counters from you. However, experience counters, so long as you have them, Kelsey's plus whatever, pending the amount of experience you've gained. Is that great? No, not necessarily. Kelsey does have haste and vigilance though, so you can start swinging almost immediately and put damage on the board. So maybe there's going to be some sort of extra combat sub-theme to this. Maybe. Very unlikely, but we'll see if we take it there. However, Mardu does have some pretty cool combos, and the other plus side to this is that Kelsey's not steering us any one direction. It's just a value piece in the command zone that gives you these colors. Now, the downsides, obviously, Kelsey happens to be 3 color pips to cast, so we're not getting Kelsey down quickly, right? I mean, maybe turn 2 the earliest. We could do turn 1 if we had Lotus Petal, Gemstone Caverns, and like your plains or whatever to push Kelsey out, but I don't think Kelsey should be the priority here. I've labeled this video Stax because the priority is probably going to be laying down Stax pieces. So let's move on to the actual deck list. Question mark? Yes. I don't know if it's better because I've never seen Kelsey played. But we're going to start, and you're going to notice something different about this video as opposed to our previous cold brews. For the month of February, we're going to do, because you seem to enjoy the struggle. You seem to enjoy it when I had to come up on the spot with answers for a list, as I did with Belby. So I'm not going to put any thought into these prior outside of the land base, all right? The strategies we come up with today are what we're going to test in our forthcoming playtest, our upcoming playtest. But we'll start with the lands. We'll start with the lands and end of the lands. Why would I use Ancient Tomb? Because Ancient Tomb gives us 2 generic, and a lot of Stax pieces are 2 generic. So we're probably going to want to rely on Ancient Tomb to just, do an early, I don't know, what Winter Orb? Is Winter Orb 2? Am I lying to you? We'll figure it out. But a lot of Stax pieces are 2. Torpor Orb? Torpor Orb's definitely 2. Arid Mesa, we have all of our fetch lands in here. We have all of our dual lands in here. Because of Kelsie's ability to ping a thing for 1, we're using both Barbarian Ring and Cabal Pit. We'll see if we need them, and we'll see if we even get to Threshold easily. But essentially, those are 2 Threshold lands that tap for the given color, as well as allow you to utilize them to damage creatures and or players in the case of Barbarian Ring. And I'll go ahead and look at Cabal Pit with you. It's not necessarily damage, it's -2, but in the same turn, you're going to effectively do 3 damage to the creature you want to knock out and gain an experience counter off of. Which is kind of cool because you could do it off turn too, pending the threat. And even if you don't necessarily need the experience counter, or rather, you want the experience counter. Even if you don't need the additional damage from Kelsey, let's just say you're hitting a Hull Breacher that's a 3/2. So, start with Kelsey and then kill it with either one of those 2 lands, and you get the experience counter on top of the fact, right? So that's pretty cool. And that's a delayed trigger, if I'm not mistaken, with how this functions when that creature dies this turn. So if you were to kill it after the fact, if it was marked with that damage, you'll get that delayed trigger on the stack. And then, someone could remove Kelsey, but you're still going to get the trigger to go off. Really not an amazing ability, but we are going to be playing for it to a certain extent. Hence, Forbidden Orchard. The best deck for Forbidden Orchard, there's a positive, because you make a 1/1 and you kill a 1/1. Don't give the 1/1s to people that can utilize the 1/1s. Particularly, don't give the 1/1s to people that can utilize the 1/1s if you're not going to kill the 1/1. Fact. Oh, there's another odd land in here I want to look at. Hall of Heliod's Generosity is in here to... I did do a little thinking, okay? If we happen to go... Because Kelsey can ping a thing, right? Like the Forbidden Orchard, we might use Goblin Sharpshooter as a combo line in this list. And then, of course, if we do that, we're in Mardu, so we have plenty of reanimation. We can bring back Goblin Sharpshooter if necessary. And the Splinter Twin, and I'll explain this combo to you if you don't know it. The Splinter Twin, which is an enchantment that makes effectively any creature a Kiki-Jiki for itself. We can put that back on top of our library with Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So important to note, it's also very good for retrieving other Stax pieces that have been removed. Or even if we just cracked our Aura of Silence to, remove something that's a threat, we can go ahead and get that back so that we can start taxing people again with Aura of Silence. Now, Maze of Ith is another oddity. I wouldn't say that this is necessarily good for the list. I'm going to test it for now. And it might be replaced with Aghadim's Awakening, or it might be replaced with Shatter Skull Smashing, or we should probably just add those to the list anyways. I don't think this list is going to thrive on Ad Nauseam or thrive on Peer into the Abyss. We're likely not going to run either of those. We may run Necropotence for value. But so far as lands that don't tap for anything, mana-wise, Maze of Ith is interesting because Kelsey's got Vigilance. So you can swing with Kelsey, tap Kelsey to ping something for damage, use Maze of Ith to untap this attacking creature, right? The Vigilant Kelsey, and ping something again. Now, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt by that creature. That's not the damage Kelsey's doing by tapping, right? So you can effectively do 2 damage with 1 swipe with Maze of Ith. Maze of Ith, Kelsey's 3 colored pips, like 3 separate colored pips to cast, so it's difficult to say that a land that doesn't tap for mana is good for the list, but I do think the untap aspect here is kind of nice, so we'll try it. And again, we might throw in Mirag, or I don't know what the hell we want to throw in for this list. We might go with like an extra combat route. So this is a good like fail safe in case someone puts up a block we can't handle. At any rate, that's really it for like the interesting lands that are in this list. That's all I really incorporated. I'll stop here to go over some of your comments in case you guys have some thoughts on good Kelsey synergies. Let me see here. It's 4 p.m. now. Thank you for tuning in. So the alternative times I'm looking at are Friday midday. Apparently, and the reason I picked 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is because that's when YouTube says I have the most concurrent viewers. Or at least that's when people tune in. If that's not accurate, leave a comment after the video that I can review as to what the best times are. But I'm going to be trying 2 to 4 on Friday, as well as Saturday morning, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right? So that is Eastern Standard Time still. Okay. I'm happy that you're able to catch the stream. My brother plays Kelsien. It's oppressive. Good. I hope ours is equally oppressive. Can't remember breakfast. Okay. I forgot I asked. Give him infect. We can. There are ways to give Kelsey infects. You can untap during after combat. Yeah, you could. You definitely could. Staff of Domination is basically right. It doesn't. You don't have to tap this during combat. And it was also making me think of Reconnaissance is the other one. The 1 white to do pay 0, untap a creature. I mean, we're just going to look at that right now. You know what I'm talking about. Reconnaissance. Okay. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat. Untap it. Hold up. Hold up. Can we use Kelsey? Can we attack with Kelsey? And then it says remove it from combat though. So in my mind, no, you're out of combat. So you can't use Reconnaissance on the same creature. Again, I don't know. I need a rules clarification. I'm nearly 100% certain you can't go infinite to wipe out the board with Kelsey and Reconnaissance. I'm fairly certain. Unless the creature's still considered to be in combat. Anyways, I'm still going over your comments. Excuse me. Yes, Thornbite Staff is expensive to equip. It auto-equips to Shamans. In case you guys don't know, it's 4 to equip. And whenever a creature dies, you may untap the creature. So it's cool tech for certain Goblin-based decks I've seen. I think it's also something people use occasionally with Goblin Sharpshooter. We're not going to do that. But it's there for that. I think Kiki Jiki is a shaman. We might even go for Kiki combos here. I don't know. It seems like untap is a good thing for the list, though. It's a good thing for Kelsey. So going like a Village Bell Ringer route, I think Village Bell Ringer is 2 generic and 1 white to untap all your creatures. That's kind of cool. Coupled with Kiki Jiki, that's obviously infinite. So you could do that. Basilisk Collar feels like, yeah, so anything that's going to give you Deathtouch, because the damage done by Kelsey, right? Kelsey deals 1 damage. So if Kelsey happens to be a Deathtoucher, anything from a 0/1 Thrall to a 7/7 Iona, that's banned. Well, she can die to this. She could. Reconnaissance. Yeah, I need to look up Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance seems good though, right? Target attacking creature you control from combat. Yeah. So it's a cool way to double down on the auto death, right? Kelsey seems like a very good commander. We're also in very good colors, mind you, for an equipment aura based Voltron strategy, right? So we can definitely go that route if we want as well. I think the Basilisk Collar is not a bad idea. Give me 1 second. Start adding some cards. Oh god, no. Oh god, no. Thanks for logging me out. Okay, so and if you guys don't know what Basilisk Collar is, we can look up the collar now. Equipped creature has Deathtouch and Lifelink. So essentially, Kelsey's gonna get bigger, gain life as you swing. You're gonna hold off on doing the tap on Kelsey until there's a threat that you deem worthy of destroying. And obviously we can add things like, I know Kelsey doesn't need it, but we can add things like Lightning Greaves, right, for the hexproof, or shroud, excuse me. But in particular, we would want that for something like the Goblin Sharpshooter combo, which we can talk about probably now. But let me just add the Basilisk collar. Am I mistaken? Is this the lowest CMC Deathtouch equipment? Hit me up. We're going to add a few pieces of equipment. I'm fairly certain we're going to go with Lightning Greaves as well. Now, the most difficult part about all of this is when we're playtesting this, it's tough goldfishing and seeing how effective a Stax list is when you're not playing against other lists. It's very easy to goldfish proactive lists, like the recent Rograk and Tevesh lists I showcased on the channel. That's easy enough to play and be like, holy shit, I got Tevesh on turn 1. I'm going to start drawing cards. And you're like, okay, you can proactively see what the deck is capable of. Instead here, you lay down a Trinity Sphere on turn 1 and you're like, you don't know how damning that really is until you see it played out. And turn 1 Trinity Sphere is pretty damning though. So long as like the guy next to you didn't throw down all his fast mana already. At any rate, Basilisk Collar, Lightning Greaves, and then I'm going to look over the Goblin Sharpshooter with you all. I think it's probably one of the better combos for the list because you can get the ball rolling with your Kelsien, right? With your Kelsien. And I feel like this list wants to be Jund, like for the creature tutoring, particularly creature tutor 2 field. There's a lot of solutions in green that are good for this, but we're not in green. Goblin Sharpshooter. 2 generic, 1 red, creature goblin, 1/1 body. It doesn't untap during your untap step. Boohoo. Whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. Tap, Goblin Sharpshooter deals 1 damage to any target. Excuse me, this has been eroded, so yeah. Any target. Now, when you do this, if you happen to have Splinter Twin, if you don't know what this card is, it's popular in a different format, I think, until it was banned. Yeah. For 2 generic, double red, enchant creature has tap, create a token that's a copy of this creature, except it has haste, exile that token at the beginning of the next end step. So basically what you'll do with the Sharpshooter with Splinter Twin attached, so that's already 7 CMC setup. What's cool is you can do this off turn, provided you have something like Sigarda's Aid. I'm just going to throw a bunch of cards at you, and I want you to note that you might not always have this line of play available. But Sigarda's Aid, you may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. So you could throw the Splinter Twin on the Goblin Sharpshooter. Now you need 3 Sharpshooters, right, to get the ball rolling here. So essentially what you'll do is you'll tap to create a Goblin Sharpshooter that has haste. You can use Kelsien to kill a thing to untap the Goblin Sharpshooter that has Splinter Twin attached to it. Let's see if I can illustrate this correctly. So you do that, you create another Goblin Sharpshooter. You're going to go ahead and ping someone for 1 damage, and then you'll use the fresh Goblin Sharpshooter to kill the other Goblin Sharpshooter. That creature dies. Oh, you untap the 2 Sharpshooters. Create another Sharpshooter. You have 2. 1 pings, 1 kills. 1 pings, 1 kills. And you just do that repeatedly. Right? There might be a more efficient way of doing that, but I don't know. That's how I haven't done the Goblin Sharpshooter line in years, but we're probably doing it here. So it's the closest thing I can see to a decent combo here. And yes, while I just mentioned Rograk and Tevesh, we did illustrate that even Rakdos, even lowly Rakdos, has access to Underworld Breach, which is fantastic. We could add a self-mill strategy, right? So Mesmeric Orb, whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller mills a card. So you can add something like that with Basalt Monolith. And if you guys remember what Basalt Monolith does, it's 3 CMC. It's like a big old piggy bank. But basically, Basalt Monolith taps for 3. It can untap itself for 3. And you can mill yourself indefinitely and then go into, because we have white, we're in Mardu, you have Savine's Reclamation. This is almost too much for my computer to handle. Basically, you get the flashback on this to bring back something from your grave, at which point you could bring back any reliable combo. But what's nice about this is that you can self-mill into a deck, a play line with this. It could be something, I don't know, Altar of Dementia and an Animate Dead. And then the Animate Dead targets your Leonin Relic Warder. And then you mill all of your opponents out, and then you have the animate dead, enter the battlefield, and target that Thassa's Oracle, and you have an auto win. I don't know, that's the first thing that came to mind. You can do that, right? So long as the permanents are 3 CMC and under, you can self-mill into Sevinne's Reclamation with the requisite mana to do the thing. It's a lot. Underworld Breach is arguably easier, but we're going to be adding a lot of stacks, so... And if we go for Underworld Breach lines of play, it means we can't use things like the new Weathered Runestone or Grafdigger's Cage. So it's tricky. I think that we're probably going to avoid Grafdigger's Cage anyways, because if we're going to go for Goblin Sharpshooter, the best line of play would probably be with the card Buried Alive. Right? This allows you to bin, or like entomb 3 creatures. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, and shuffle your library. And this could be anything from Goblin Sharpshooter, Anger, and Glory. And Glory, right? I don't know. You don't need Glory. We're probably not going to run Glory. I've always wanted to run Glory, though. But essentially, you get to use this ability if the card is in your graveyard. Creatures you control gain protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn. Play this ability only if Glory's in your graveyard. So you could just do, you can be really cheeky, do that. Anger makes it so that if it's in your graveyard, you control a mountain. All your creatures have haste, yada, yada, yada. And then you can start up the line of play with Goblin Sharpshooter that way. Whew, I'm spitting a lot at you. Let me just make sure that we're still here. Okay. It looks like the video cut out for a second, but okay, we'll see where we're at. So at any rate, yeah, I'm throwing a lot at you because there are options. Like Kelsien, again, it is an actual benefit that your commander doesn't really care what direction you go with it. I think that utilizing Goblin Sharpshooter play lines would be the best because you have another thing that can actively kill a thing to untap the thing to begin the thing. Okay? So it's a good means of doubling down on the same strategy. If someone's trying to remove Goblin Sharpshooter as you go for the line of play, you can use Kelsien to kill a thing and untap Sharpshooter in response. Right? So it's kind of cool. I think that this is a good route with Buried Alive. We'll add Buried Alive now. And that doesn't necessarily mean we add Anger or Glory. You know, just because you can bury 3 things doesn't mean you have to bury 3 things. Although, you know, you want to make the most out of it, right? And I already illustrated what this does, but it's on the screen now in case you want to see it. It's 4 CMC. You're never going to cast Anger. You strictly want to rummage Anger. You want to put Anger in your graveyard somehow. Doesn't matter how. You can entomb it. You can bury it alive it. You get the idea. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm officially back. For some reason, my video, because I'm watching this to see your comments off to the side on my phone, and it looks like it's stopped. Forbidden Orchard is MVP. It really is. Color is the cheapest, yes, along with Gorgon Head. Okay, we'll look at Gorgon Head. You know what? Screw that. Let's start here. Let's look at things that give Deathtouch. Deathtouch. Is that one word? No, it's 2 words, right? I've never thought about it. 1 word. Okay. Deathtouch. We're going to look at auras, and we're going to look at equipment. And this is going to give us every single thing with Deathtouch, and then we can sort of make heads or tails on whether these are good or not. I also want to do stacks after this. I think the best place for us to start before we look into tutors, before we look into any sort of rituals or fast mana, those are all very obvious. I think if we see what our core cards are first, we're going to know what tutors we're going to want to incorporate after the fact. I think that's the better avenue of approach here. We're definitely going to want to incorporate a lot of stacks, though. And Kelsien, in my mind, is not a priority. Right? It sucks. But he's not. You have haste at least. So once you drop Kelsien and you have these Deathtouch things on the field, then you're ready to get the ball rolling. I really love the art for Gorgon's Head. If I only run it because of the art, I would feel okay. Although 2 to equip is a lot. Gorgon Flail. When equipped creature becomes blocked by 1 or more creatures against Deathtouch? No. Quiet as Spike. I do like Quiet as Spike. But no. Did someone say Gift of Doom? Enchanted creature has Deathtouch and Indestructible. Alright. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you're definitely going to morph this card, right? Indestructible Deathtouch. That's pretty legitimate, I guess. I mean, what stops you now? Bounce. Toxic Deluge. Enchanted creature has Deathtouch as long as you control a green or a blue permanent. Literally the only colors we don't have. Sultai, Rune Mark. Thanks. Oh, hey, check it out. Rune of Mortality. Wait, what is that? What is the card from this set that tutors runes? Do we have a viable target? I draw a card. An enchanted permanent has Deathtouch. Or I can enchant a piece of equipment and then give things death. This is so good. No reason for World Gorger. Man, yeah, we're going to use Rune of Mortality. Hell yeah. It's probably going to get cut early. I'm not going to lie to you all. But we're doing it. And we're going to probably throw in Gorgon's Head as the next best option. I hate to say it. Whenever a creature with Deathtouch becomes... Oh, God. Okay, look, we're going to add Gorgon's Head, and then I'm going to look into creatures. This is where I really wish green was here, because you have the Bow of Nylea. You also have Orin Frostfang. You literally just have to declare Kelsien an attacker, and then ping something with the Deathtouch you now possess. We just had to get white instead. Okay, so we're going to look up creature. See, but the thing is with creature, I know it's not going to be anything. Let's just do artifact. Let's do artifact in general and see what we missed in the world. Oh God, one card. Is it Vial of Poison? It's just Vial of Poison. Target creature gains Deathtouch until the end of turn. Well, I mean, that's... Nah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, are we? All right. That's a shame. Let me just catch up with the chat here. Comparable to crappy Deathtouch equipment. Zagras gives everything a Deathtouch. Zagras gives everything. Is that a creature? You know what? Let's look that up then. Let's look up creatures gain Deathtouch. Death tough. I'm too tough for death. Okay. Ankle Shanker. All right, that's a good one. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Creatures you control have Deathtouch. This is very expensive. What is Zagras? You know what? Yeah, was it sarcasm? I'm doing it. Creatures you control get +1. Man, I was really hoping there would be a cool Planeswalker for the list. Creatures you control gain Deathtouch and lifelink for only 4 CMC? Come on, guys. That seems pretty good. Oh my God. Okay, wow. It's narrow. The cards that offer Deathtouch that are good are narrow. So we're going to stop there. Let's go ahead and look into... Man, I feel like I've got a catalog of wipes that I would want to use for this list, but why don't we just start by doing... I feel like I know them all, but I want to do a little bit more research. Maybe there's some opponents can't do things that I'm missing. So far as like forms of Stax are concerned, right? And maybe even Conqueror's Flail wouldn't be awful, right? For each color among permanents you control, I mean, this is already +3/+3 on Kelsey. And then obviously your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. How important is that? I guess it's the difference between you laying the Stax piece down reliably as opposed to you having it countered or otherwise removed off turn, right? So that they have to drag it out on their turn. It's kind of cool. Maybe we put Conqueror's Flail. Conqueror's Flail. Again, I don't know if this sticks. We're just adding some nice effects. Some nice effects. I don't like Grand Abolisher, but I do like equipping things. It's not that kind of list. We really don't. I don't think we really need that effect, but you get the idea. Lands on the battlefield and lands in graveyards can't be the target of spells and abilities your opponents control. It's never going to happen. Your opponents can't play lands from their graveyards. Also never going to happen. I do know for a fact that we're going to want to do the Stax pieces in order of importance so far as my mind is concerned in the current meta, like where we're at in the world of cEDH. Taxes, to include Trinity Sphere. Things entering tapped or things entering and not doing anything, right? Unfortunately, this form of Stax also affects our Village Bellringer lines of play. That is if we do incorporate those. We might go for attrition damage with Kelsien, but I would like a definitive way to shut out, the table. And then things, I already said that, things entering tapped. So those are good. And then obviously the one cast a turn, those can be hit or miss. They're usually very good, though, against lists that are trying to storm off and or want protection for their combo turn, right? So things like Archon of Myria, we're probably going to add as well. So we can just go ahead and start adding the Rule of Law effects, right? To include Rule of Law, Archon of Emeria. What's the dude? Eidolon of Rhetoric. Eidolon of Rhetoric. We're going to do Deafening Silence. And then we can also incorporate the girl. What is the name of the girl who does the thing? Aethersworn Canoness. It helps if you sing it out, I find. So those are all the rule effects, and those are very good. And a majority of those are enchantments. So you can see why Hall of Heliod's Generosity is already very good for the list. I'm just going to quickly scan over these to see if there's any more that seem viable. And if there's another way to give Deathtouch that you all can think of that we missed there, let me know. Outside of Archetype of Finality. Okay, so that's it for the Rule of Law effects that we want to incorporate. The other things we want to add, like I said, we want to add things that tax people. So Trinity Sphere. We want to do Sphere of Resistance. Sphere of Resistance. We want to do Thorn of Amethyst. Kelso is a human assassin. Linvala is mediocre right now. Linvala is super mediocre. The one time, not even against like the few Thrasios list I still see, do I care about having Linvala to stop your dorks from doing a thing. Because really, at that point, I like stacks that are universally effective. If my stacks like Linvala, Keeper of Silence, that makes it so that creatures opponents control can't have their activated abilities work. I worded that horribly. She will only affect a select number of players at the table and not do enough. She's a 3/4 flyer, so that's valuable, I guess. Again, we're not utilizing Ad Nauseam Peer into the Abyss here. I don't think we're going to be the target for attacks, so I don't really care about having a decent blocker that's flying. So not even like her secondary benefit is of value. It's going to shut off maybe 1 or 2 lists at most, whereas things like taxes are going to shut down everyone across the board reliably and slow things down. We're going to try to slow the pace of this game down, right? So that we can very slowly work towards a combo or just nuke the board continuously. So that's why I think Reconnaissance is good, right? Because we don't have to cast a spell to do the untap. So we'll add Reconnaissance for now. If we keep it, that's a different question. And obviously Sigarda's Aid as well. We'll add Sigarda's Aid just to be able to do those auras and enchantments. We're going to add the animate effects as well, because I think we're probably going to go a route that incorporates some Buried Alive play. So Dance of the Dead and Necromancy. And while we're here, I'm going to add Necropotence just for good measure, because we'll probably want to use that, right? So far as taxes are concerned, though, the only one I can think of that I haven't added was Damping Sphere, rather. And that's it. I guess Aura of Silence, right? Artifacts and enchantments your opponents control cost 2 more to cast, right? Okay, Stoneforge Mystic. Yes, we're not looking at tutors quite yet. Are there cantrips that give Deathtouch? That's a good question. So silence effects. I mean, this is how white interacts with the stack, right? Quote unquote. They silence people. We're gonna run 1 because that's all you're gonna need. But otherwise, we're probably good. Let's just look at what we have. So let's just stop here, and take a survey the land. Survey what we have. Blade Brand is a cantrip that gives Deathtouch. Duly noted. It's 1 word. All right, so it's 2 to cast. Gains Deathtouch at the end of the turn. Man, is there not one for my? Is there not a thing for my Ikoria that gives like a Deathtouch counter or counter? Is there nothing for my Ikoria that gives a creature Deathtouch counters? I'm just gonna write that. Enters the battlefield with your choice of death. Nope, that's not what we want. Wait. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost of 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ooh. Put a Deathtouch counter on either of them. Ooh. Put a menace counter. So if we're using things that say as additional cost sacrifice, we could bin our own Kelsien and bring it back. It has haste, and now it has a Deathtouch counter. Too cute. But Call of the Death Dweller is actually a good card, mind you. It's just not needed, sadly. I wish one of those things gave haste. Like if you got a haste counter, that would be pretty amazing. Void Beckoner. I see it. I see you saying it. But you're going to have to say it one more time for me to look it up. 1 second. There we go. What the fuck? Oh, when you cycle it. Okay. Like I said, we're not using Adnaz, so we're going to add Void Beckoner. A haste counter is silly? What are you talking about? Hey, no. I would love permanent haste. To bring it back with haste would be amazing. A menace counter is just what was I going to add? Void Beckoner? Yeah. Why not? Does that mean we also add the card that makes cycling costs reduced? Oh god. What is this game plan? At least you can do it off turn. You can be like, gotcha, Kelsien, pow, shoot him down. Cool. All right. Also, if you have Planeswalker Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, right? I'm looking at him. Gains Deathtouch and Lifelink until the end of turn. Oh shit. If it's a vampire, put a +1/+1 counter. Amorphous Axe. Make him everything. Yeah. Yeah. You could. I mean, Sorin's pretty easy to put down, though. You may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It's so good. No, I don't think we go that route. Okay. I don't think we go that route. Okay, I want to survey the lands. Did I not say that? Give me a second to survey. I put Rune of Mortality. I did it already. Here, let's survey so we're all on the same page. We've seen the lands. I just added all the animate spells, right? We've got the Deafening Silence. We got the Aura of Silence. Any other silence we can add? I think we got all the essential silences. Recon, because you know what? It untaps shit, and I like that. Rune of Mortality. Guys, it's not legal yet, but we're going to use it. Fuck the RC. I don't mean that. I'm sure they're lovely, but we're gonna use it. I don't care if it's banned or illegal. Archon of Emeria, Eidolon of Rhetoric. Okay, Aethersworn Canonist. You can only cast the one thing. Be happy. Goblin Sharpshooter. We're trying to do that. And an 8. Man, That's just so vanilla. This is just so vanilla. If this is particularly Kelsey tech, oh my god. Sunforger for the lulz, maybe. Path of Metal, we'll look at that. Gift of Doom. Yeah, maybe Gift of Doom. I mean, if we're using Void Beckoner, then you know, we've already gone rock bottom. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel already. So I'll humor some of this. Sunforger would be cute. Path of Metal, is this the... Wait. Just 1 second, guys. Okay, this is important. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Whenever... Okay. Enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature that doesn't have first strike, double strike, vigilance, or hey. Ooh. Kelsey, gun him down. Whenever you attack with 2 creatures that have those effects. At least 2? It's not good, guys. Ixalan as a set wasn't good, and neither is this card. Yeah, it is so medium. It's also a tax effect. What is a tax effect? Oh, Thalia? Yeah, no, you're right. Like, we didn't add any creature taxes yet, like the Glow Riders of the world, the Pegasus. Let's go ahead and add those taxes now. And we're, of course, speaking of Little Thalia here. Not Heretic Cathar, but the Guardian of Throbbin. What's going on inside that mind? Can we get a closer shot? So Thalia, Guardian of Throbbin. We have... I like the Pegasus. Okay, let's just do this. Cost more. Cost more. We're going to look at everything that says cost more. There's not going to be that many. But we're just going to survey. I just like the word survey. We're going to survey the 68 cards, okay? Let's see if there's anything good here. So we added Damping Sphere. Never going to use Eidolon of Obstruction, although Tvesh is pretty good. Falls into the category of not running 1 card for another card. Ooh, Suppression Field would screw our game plan if we decide to do that. Yeah, so we've added Thalia, we've added this, we need to add the 3 CMC ones. I say need, don't necessarily need to. Vryn Wingmare, that's the one. So this is the flying creature spells cost 1 more to cast. So I like Vryn a lot. A lot. I like Vryn enough. But I think it's good stacks. Lodestone Golem. You know, when you dip your toes in the 4 CMC territory, it doesn't feel good. We're not going to do that. So, okay, so we want to add like Torpor Orb-esque effects, I think. How many we add, I don't know. But Torpor Orb effects are great because like Hushwing Griff, right? This is actually a favorite of mine. These are good because creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. So your Dockside Extortionist, you can bam, flash this out. You don't do that anymore. Anything that's going to win the game, Thassa's Oracle, you don't do that anymore. This is a really fun way to interact with the board, particularly if you've got the Rule of Law effect out and they're going to try to do the thing, right? So like if you have the Deafening Silence out and they cast their Thassa's Oracle, they're a lot of the times when you're playing hard stacks, what I've found with these lists that play proactively is that they obviously have to play slower, but they'll try to manually assemble the Thassa's line of play or whatever they're going for, right? So if it's a Deafening Silence, they can cast their Thassa's Oracle and they can cast the Demonic Consultation or the Tainted Pack. Yeah, big surprise. Do the Hushwing Griff. It's not the only spell you get to cast this turn, but it's going to shut that shit down, right? So there's that. I like these effects, and I like the flash on this creature. Is it better than your Hushbringer? Not necessarily, but the flash is important. Flying Lifelink. We're going to add some of these. I think I don't know how important the Torpor Orb effect truly is to this particular build. There's only so many lists that care about creatures ET being like the lesser creatures that have this effect are things like your, and we'll probably be using them too, your Imperial Recruiters, your Recruiter of the Guards, your Spell Seeker, right? Those are some lesser, I say lesser, those are some other creatures that manipulate the ETB for some grand effect. It's tough to say whether they're worth it or not, but I think we're going to add Hushbringer. I can suffer through one, and if it's anything, a flying, like a flying Torpor Orb is pretty good in my book. I also want to look over like an equipment aura package for this in a second. That's why I added the Sigarda's Aid, right? Things that offer hexproof or shroud to keep our creatures safe, particularly if they're important combo creatures. Again, we're trying to orient ourselves that way. Containment Priest is not something I value highly, but if non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. So this is okay. So what the issue here is that it mucks up our own reanimate lines, right? And I'm trying to think. It just doesn't do enough. Containment Priest does not do enough for me. And Hushbringer would stop our Goblin combo. Yeah. Well, leaving the battlefield, right? Or when a creature dies. Yeah. Oh, did I add it? I'm sorry. Whoa. Whoa. I wanted to stick with one, and I want it to be, sorry. I want it to be Hushwing Griff. Jeez Louise. Hushwing Griff. That's what we want. Okay. Drannith Magistrate. Yeah, for sure. Our land base is really screwy. So things like Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon are going to be tough. I don't know what Falthus Familiar is. Is this a thing that Containment Priest stops, or is this like a good card? Falthus Fam? Got Falthus Fam in the house? We'll get back to that. All right, so we've added this. We're going to add Drannith Magistrate. And you can see the stacks we've put down already. So we've got a lot of taxes. We've got the Rule of Law effects. We've got... We might add... what is it? The thing that makes it so that your opponent's artifacts and other things come into play tapped. Damn it. Blind Obedience. Blind Obedience. Okay, so Blind Obedience is pretty good. Artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield's tapped. That's... The artifact part is the more relevant part. This is almost like Orb of Dreams and or your Root Maze. So you could probably run that. Yeah, I don't like Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon here. It's just tricky with our land base. Thornbite Staff we're going to avoid. We have Archon of Emeria in the list already, or we should. Right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just add one more of these. I don't know if Blind Obedience is good enough. We're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. Let's just survey our stacks. See where we are. But you get why one would want Blind Obedience, I hope. Because it's okay. So right now we're at 60 cards. Oh, damn, look at that curve. Oh, so sweet. And we've got the... Let's count. We've got Archon of Emeria, Drannith Magistrate, Eidolon of Rhetoric, Aethersworn Canonist, Hushwing Griff, Thalia, Vrenwing Mare. That's 7. We've got Trinisphere, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 pieces of stacks. Did I miss anything? That seems okay. I think that we would want more. We've got creature removal, right, in the command zone, coupled with our Deathtouch effects. And I really, I can't do it. I keep passing over this Void Beckoner, and I just don't like it. We're removing it. Falthus Familiar. Is that how you spell Falthus? I was going to spell familiar. Oh, this little bugger. Commanders you control have Menace and Deathtouch. I see. I see that now. I've got one in this box behind me. Should I Should we put it to use? I mean, ugh, God. Yeah, we could. And look, it's better than doing the... Is it better, though? Is it better than cycling for a Deathtouch counter with the Void Beckoner? Is Falthus Familiar better than a Deathtouch? It's a 2/2 body, so it's still, like, squishy. The thing is, we're probably going to add effects like Pyroclasms and such, so a lot of our shit's probably going to die, right? Not those, but that will die. Obviously, Sharpshooter. If we have Sharpshooter down, we're trying to go for something else, so just ignore that. A lot of these things die from the mass removal, so maybe we're going to shoot for different forms of removal. Let's go ahead and just start adding our fast mana. I mean, I think the meta is moving more proactively now. Like, people are trying to push for wins quicker. That's always been the case, but there's just more and more cards that are helping those strategies play out consistently. So even if you're doing stacks, it's important, particularly because we're not in green, to lay down effects that give you mana. So we're going to add a handful of things like the Mana Crypts, the Soul Rings. We're going to add every single form of fast mana. Right? Like, we're not going to add Mox Amber or Mox Opal, but we're going to add a handful of these things to get the ball rolling on our own plan. Maybe a Mana Vault. That's a hard maybe there. We're also going to add the Chrome Mox. And our commander doesn't draw. It's tough. I think that some of the, like, Arcane Signet's fine. And it's interesting to note that we're in red, so we could use things like Goblin Engineer to entomb a Stax piece and bring it back out. We also have Goblin Welder, so the more artifacts we have, the better on this front. Felwar Stone we can add. If there are any rocks that you want to add, let me know. Falthus the Black Commander, Legend Familiar. Yep. Yes. Yep. Hirobi. Nah, probably gonna skip on Hirobi. Being instant speed to cycle means you don't need to commit or tap out early, etc. Yeah. It also just replaces itself with something that's probably arguably better than Falthus. Sorry, Falthus. It's up to you, though. Let me know which do you think is better, Falthus or Void Beckoner for Deathtouch. I see some chatter about it already, but are we going to add... Okay, we can add a few tutors right now. I think that we want Steel Shaper's Gift, right? Prices are going up on these bad boys. We want Open the Armory. We want Demonic Tutor, bruh. We want Vampiric Tutor, bruh. We want Enlightened Tutor, bruh. We probably want Diabolic Intent, bruh. And we're going to go for the Imperial Seal, right? We're also going to go... Did we miss any vital tutors? Wishclaw Talisman, right? But it's tricky. Wishclaw Talisman in this list is tricky because when you hand over Wishclaw Talisman, are you really going for the win just then? Are you really going for a win? Probably not. We're going to put it in, though. Yeah, Gamble's good. Gamble is good. So it's tricky with... Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add Imperial Recruiter because we're going to add Imperial Recruiter. I'm not sure we add the Recruiter of the Guard because a lot of the creatures we have bigger butts. So, hey, do we add Treasonous Ogre? Hear me out. Does that make sense? Because the combo we have is kind of expensive. This sort of helps you power through your turn. If like you're just trying to pay the generic cost of a, if you're just trying to pay the generic cost for a Stax piece, this is really good. And we're not using our life as a resource elsewhere. I'm gonna add it for now. Do I want... Man, I really like Ranger Captain of Eos, but we don't have a 1 CMC creature that's relevant. Yes, we can add Mother of Runes. Yeah. This is so weird. Like, Mother of Runes is great for protecting the hate bears that are, you know, bogging down your opponent's board. So that's not so bad. And then kind of gives us a reason for Ranger Captain of Eos. But I'll probably just stick with Mother of Runes for now. I don't think you need to, like, tutor her ass. Let's add it for now. I do like this. I like the silence on this card. Whether you're trying to do something on your turn or not, it doesn't matter. So long as you're able to use this against a quicker list, or a list that's trying to push for a win before you would in this list, then it's kind of important. We're also going to add Reanimate at this point as well. I'm fairly certain that we're going to go for like a Buried Alive pile. And does that Buried Alive pile include... Does that Buried Alive pile include our Anger? We want to give Haste somehow. I don't know if this is how we're going to give Haste. Now, we put down Lightning Greaves. Let's just go ahead and take a second. Just a second, okay? To look over... Here's my thought process here. So we can do... We've already established the Goblin Sharpshooter line of play at the very beginning of this video. We could also incorporate a Buried Alive pile and or just a Rummage pile. God, again, this is like where you want those green cards. Like Survival of the Fittest here would be great. Because I'm thinking about Necrotic Ooze. And there's plenty of ways you can combo out with Necrotic Ooze. Like Mog Fanatic, Kiki Jiki, Necrotic Ooze. Necrotic Ooze needs Haste though. Same thing with Goblin Sharpshooter. So to me, the most important aspect of our combo lines, at least the ones I'm contemplating for this list, is the need for Haste to make those things happen simultaneously. So it'd be cool to have at least two separate combo lines that don't use the same creatures. Obviously, though, you know, Mog Fanatic is not a good card for the list. It does in case you don't know what Mog Fanatic is. Oh. It just does damage to a target, right? So the idea with Necrotic Ooze would be, with Kiki-Jiki in your grave, you can make a copy of Necrotic Ooze, sacrifice the ooze that tapped itself to make the copy to deal 1 damage to someone, and you continuously do this. Is Mog Fanatic bad for the list, though? Because you can use that coupled with Kelsien to kill a thing, right? It's not awful. And then obviously, after the fact, a Ranger Captain of Eos grabs Mog Fanatic, and then we bin Mog Fanatic by using it to do the 1 damage to a thing. It's not such shit, is what I'm saying. But it does need Haste. So let's go back. I'm sidetracking here. The other combo lines that I can think of that are good in Mardu are Leon and Relic Warder with our Animate spells, and we already have that set up, right? So you can infinitely place a creature onto the battlefield. Our Hushwing Griff does shut this down, though, mind you. However, you can use Leon and Relic Warder to exile the Animate dead, bring it back, and recur him from the graveyard, and use something like a Bitter Ordeal to close out the game, and or... It's not really closing out the game, but you can use Altar of the Brood to make people mill their decks, right? Okay, we've gone way too far off course here. Let's just go ahead and look at auras and equipment that offer Haste. I just want to start there for at least the Goblin Sharpshooter. And the ones that are going to be good are arguably, like, we already have Lightning Greaves down. Anything that cantrips would be nice. And the boots of striding boots. God, what are they called? Boots of striding. I think boots of... I'll wait for it to pop up. Yeah, so like I said, Anger is something that you could incorporate. Rhythm of the Wild is Gruul. We have Lightning Greaves in the list already. Goblin Engineer. See, Goblin Engineer and Welder are really good. I like the potential... I like being able to switch my opponent's shit out. Also, I like being able to switch my stuff out so I can get relevant stacks when I need it, right? And all the stacks we're using are 3 CMC and under. that are artifact based, to include like Aethersworn Canonist. So Goblin Engineer is obviously a good choice. And then having the haste enabling for that is also really good. So let's take a look. Hammerhand. Nah, not going to use that. So Footfall Crater. Footfall Crater. Target creature gains trample and haste. Cycling 1. Footfall Crater's not bad. You can escape velocity. Very, very much on flavor. I really do like Prophetic Ravings. Like, this is actually good for setting up a reanimate as well. The creature you're putting it on, though, it wants to use its own ability. It's like you're not looking to do the rummage, but you do have the rummage. You can also attach this to Kelsien. Yes, well, Kelsien doesn't need the haste. With all those untap effects, all those various untaps, you can do the rummage multiple times. Let's just add Prophetic Raving for now. I don't know that it stays. I would rather something that was like a equipment that stuck after the fact. But we have the Lightning Greaves. We want that for the Shroud. Obviously, Swiftfoot Boots. My God. Okay, Swiftfoot Boots. I always forget the name of this card. Swiftfoot Boots. Okay. Okay. Some lands give haste. Yeah, some land does give haste, and there's a couple of them. So you can use Hanwar Battlements? Hanwar Garrison? It's not the creature, it's the land that gives haste. You also have Hollow the Bandit Lord, but we don't really want those necessarily. I mean, you could also use... No, you don't want to use that. I'm not going to suggest any shit cards. We've gone over a few pretty shitty cards, but that's just the nature of this deck. Mark of Fury is haste. Hollow the Bandit. Yep, ready to that. Rune of Speed. And how about Need for Speed? Just sacrifice our lands, why don't we? Enchanted creature you control. Creatures you control have haste. That's kind of cool. Emblem of the Warmind. How essential. That's kind of cool to have that on a creature. I don't know. I don't hate Emblem of the Warmind. Unfortunately, a lot of our creatures are going to attract the ire of our opponents. Like, people are going to want to remove Eidolon of Rhetoric. So, attaching Emblem of the Warmind onto something that's going to attract a lot of hate is probably not going to go over well. Yes, I think someone said Mark of Fury. End of turn, return Mark of Fury to its owner's hand. It's actually kind of cool because it's repeatable. So there's that. Port Razor, pretty sick art on that. I know. Again, I'm really looking at the equipment that does this. In my mind, the equipment is the best route to go, but I think we got the two best pieces already. And we're getting into the 3+ territory, and this is where we're going to end here. So Splinter Twin, did I put it in the list already? Oh my God, did I not? I didn't. Shame. Hold up. Let me see here. So if we do want to do Necrotic Ooze, because I'm not totally off that strategy yet, I don't think we put Mog Fanatic in. Kiki Jiki would combo with the untappers, right? And we do want to use untappers. So let's just take a look. Let's just take a look at all the creatures that untap things in Mardu. It's not going to be that many. I hope not. But let's just see what we can get set up for Kiki Jiki, because our Stax doesn't affect activated abilities. So having an infinite army of hasty things is probably good. And of course, we can add Dual Caster Mage to this list and subsequently have Dual Caster Mage plus Heat Shimmer Twin Flame, yada, yada, yada. We're probably also going to incorporate a Dockside Extortionist, so there's mana there. Let's look at untappers first, though. There's so many play lines that just exist. I want the combos we have to have nice overlap with the deck. I don't want to add cards just to have a combo in the deck, like a Mog Fanatic. That just makes no sense to me. If we happen to have a creature that self-sacrifices to do a thing in the list that's meaningful outside of being a part of a combo, then it's a good combo to try to accomplish. Sharpshooter by itself plays well with Kelsien. That's why I want to incorporate that line of play. However, Splinter Twin by itself is just okay in the list. We do have tutors for it though, so that makes it good in my mind. We're going to look up other tutors as well. I think we hit all of them, but it's always good to just go do a rough search. Because we have that rune in the list, we might want to incorporate that creature that tutors runes. We're also going to want to do Stoneforge Mystic. I think someone mentioned this already, but yeah. Yeah, we want that. Okay, so I really do think the big one, and let me know if I've missed any untapper that's good with Kiki-Jiki. We've got Seal Shaper's Gift already. Yep, Open the Armory already. Village Bellringer is the big one, and that's the one I'm thinking for Kiki. I just haven't put it in here yet. Obviously, Battered Golem works with Splinter Twin as well, if you don't know. Because Splinter Twin, when you tap Battered Golem to do the Splinter Twin, it creates a copy that is an artifact Battered Golem creature, and it untaps the Splinter Twin Battered Golem. And you can make an army of Battered Golems. Does that mean the card is good? Man, okay, so if I did Goblin Engineer and I equip my Lightning Greaves to Goblin Engineer and I've binned Battered Golem and I use Goblin Engineer to swap out my Arcane Signet for Battered Golem and I had the Splinter Twin in hand, that's pretty, I guess that's good. It's another layer, but the card itself is just okay, right? It's like me trying to find an excuse for Splinter Twin in the list outside of Goblin Sharpshooter. It's tricky. No, there's no Underworld Breach in the list. Wrong list. Did you think of Godsend? Do you mean the sword Godsend? Did I pass it? All right, I'm going to look through these untapper creatures and then we'll look at Godsend. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure it's playable. Okay, Combat Celebrant is another thing that combos in the list, obviously with Kiki-Jiki, if we were to go that route. It's a 4/1, so Recruiter of the Guard looks pretty good, but yeah, so Combat Celebrant's a weird one. It untaps all of our other creatures, so Kelsien gets to do the thing twice, and maybe we get an additional experience counter here. And also, mind you, Kelsien is vigilant, so the bigger Kelsien gets, the better our life total is protected, and or any planeswalkers we incorporate. And we can look over some planeswalkers that might be potent for this list. Because imagine running a series of board wipes, whether single-sided or ones that hit everyone. It'd be cool to be able to maintain our planeswalkers and go through a game with just Kelsien sitting there as like a 7/7 or an 8/8, perma blocker. Again, I don't really see Kelsien being a priority for this list, but let me know if you think Battered Golem is a good include. I'm iffy. I'm like 30-70. 30% of me wants Battered Golem for the reasons I mentioned, but I'm not too sure it makes sense for this deck. I think Village Bellringer is really the only one that makes sense with our dude. Yeah, okay, Village Bellringer. And this is if we incorporate Kiki-Jiki. And mind you, I'm not even too high on incorporating Kiki-Jiki. I just like that it's immensely tutorable. You can also use Kiki to... What is Kiki's utility outside, for this list, outside of... So Kiki alongside Stoneforge Mystic, you double down on that tutor effect. Kiki alongside Goblin Engineer gives you a hasty Goblin Engineer and allows you to entomb another artifact. There are benefits to Kiki outside of being a combo card. And there's only one combo card for Kiki right now, if I'm not mistaken, right? So Splinter Twin will work with Goblin Sharpshooter and or Village Bellringer, which is a 1/4. What is Village Bellringer? Did I pass it? It doesn't matter. Village Bellringer is probably going to be a must for the list, just to be something that untaps Kelsien as well as functions with Splinter Twin. It's a 1/4. Cool. Copies of Dockside would be kind of cool. Yeah. The 2XM extended Toxic Deluge, yes, is likely a must. Let's go ahead and add some of those other value creatures. Now, I've talked around them, but Dockside Extortionist is, yes, one we want. And what else did I mention? Let's just do the search library cards. Again, I'm pretty certain we have all of the search library effects we want, but we can talk about adding the one that searches for runes. What do we got? What do we got? Cataran summons. Mark my words. As soon as a mercenary that is worth it comes out, Cataran summons becomes immensely valuable. Am I sitting on 50 of these? No. Do I recommend you buy them? Not yet. But it's still good. Entomb? Do we want Entomb? What sucks about this particular strategy is that Buried Alive is kind of crucial for some of these playlines to work. Not necessarily. If we were to use the ooze, it would be necessary. If you have multiple ways to reanimate things, or a spell that reanimates multiple things, like Victimize, or that one spell we looked at a second ago that brings 2 3CMC creatures back with a Menace and Deathtouch counter, then Buried Alive is more potent. But a lot of these combos we're incorporating require either 2 creatures and or the creature in the aura being Splinter Twin. So how important is Entomb? If it just means entombing something for a Goblin Welder to bring out, right, at instant speed, like the Stax piece needed to stop the Storm list from going off, then maybe it's worth it. But it's probably not going to be useful for our own strategy, is what I'm saying. I could be dead wrong. I don't know how many elementals we have, but I'm actually a huge fan of Flamekin Harbinger. We do have Imperial Seal already, in case you're wondering. We're not using Scheming Symmetry. That does not make sense for this list. The Quest for the Holy Relic. We're not casting that many creature spells, right? But it's another way to find an equipment. Tithe is not bad, but Tithe is not important for this particular brew. We have Vampiric Tutor already. We have the Steel Shaper's Gift. We have Demonic Tutor. We have this. We have the Goblin Engineer. Pyre of Heroes. Pyre of Heroes. Maybe valuable. Hold up. Kelsien is 3 CMC. Fuck. Village Bellringer is 3 CMC, so it wouldn't be that, right? Because if you've never read this or haven't seen it, it's new from Kaldheim. If you haven't caught up with the set, basically equal to 1 plus that creature's converted mana cost. So it's essentially like Birthing Pod. You have to sacrifice a thing to get a thing from your list. But let's just look at the synergies we have with creatures in our deck to see if this couldn't be used. We'll see. While that's loading, we can look through more of these, but Pyre of Heroes is a maybe. Okay, so it needs to be 4 CMC, which is just Treasonous Ogre, which does not share a typing. I'm only using Kelsien as a model for this because Kelsien is something that we can always cast. It's something we always have available to us. So, I mean, yes, while there are other like goblins and humans and other subclasses in this deck, we're not always going to have them accessible. So to me, Pyre of Heroes is only as good as your commander makes it. Does that make sense? Because we don't need Kelsien as a part of our strategy. Not necessarily. We're using it in a cheeky way with the Deathtouch effects. We're probably going to remove that Gorgon head, right? Because we don't need that much Deathtouch. Like, I don't think Kelsey's that big of a priority. But Pyre of Heroes isn't going to hit anything of value off of just Kelsien, so I'm just going to ignore Pyre of Heroes. It's not to say it's bad. Again, only as useful as your commander. I know Aven Mind Sensor is kind of fallen by the wayside these days. But we should definitely incorporate Aven Mind Sensor. Felidar Guardian for Kiki Jiki. Felidar Guardian's the cat thing that exiles a thing and brings it back. Blink effects are another thing I want to look over, by the way. How did I forget Aven Mind Sensor? It just, there's... I think Opposition Agent just kind of killed it for me. That's why I don't think about it anymore. Okay, so... Again, Bitter Ordeal is really great, provided you have... I'm not half convinced we should steer away from Underworld Breach, or a package that incorporates Underworld Breach, excuse me. If you don't know what that is, it's the big to-do combo in the world of cEDH right now, because it allows you to storm very efficiently, particularly if your list incorporates... I've seen it done with a few cards, but the more meaningful mill effects are Grinding Station and or Brain Freeze. Now, we could incorporate a package that utilizes Grinding Station and Underworld Breach to peel into a solution as well with this list. But mind you, that amount of storming plays against all the stacks we're using. So I wouldn't really want to incorporate Underworld Breach unless I was trying to storm for a win. An Underworld Breach and list for value is just shit. It's never been great. When I've played Underworld Breach and lists that are predominantly stacks, and I've tried to play it for value, it's not a good card. You kind of want to play for it or just not at all. And it's better in heavily storm-centric list. So in case you're wondering why it's not in the list, because Kelsie's not trying to do that. Do we run things like Goblin Matron for our goblins? I think we have enough of a redundancy that we can avoid having any more creatures. Because 3 CMC to find a thing, this is largely do nothing on the same turn you cast it. And the better one is Imperial Recruiter for the list. So we already have that out of the way. I think we can stop there. That's so funny. I was just talking about Opposition Agent and I didn't even add her ass. Opposition Agent. Is she good? Yeah, she's good. Damn, you know, I might even take Aven Mind Sensor out. I don't want to have to commit to the white. Dang, is Aven Mind Sensor still good? Let me know. Do you run both Aven Mind Sensor and Opposition Agent, or just Opposition Agent? That's what I need to know. Tell me quick. Tell me quick. Runeforge Champion, that's the guy. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard. Oh shit. For a rune card. Reveal it, put it into your hand. You pay 1 generic rather than pay the cost. Let's look at the other runes. Runeforge Champion. Let's look at the other runes really quick. Maybe we use it. Snow permanent, a legendary card, so just Thalia, and we don't have any sagas. Search for glory. There's no glory to be found here. Yes, we can incorporate Summon Forger. I think someone said that. I think it's just a little too cute. Arena Rector can be good. And I have one of these promo arts coming, by the way. Such good art. Jason, love you. Thank you for this. If, like with a Pyroclasm, obviously Arena Rector dies. And we might add a Clasm or two, like a Whip Flare and or a Pyroclasm. We'll see. Yes, can blink Dockside, can blink... Yeah, sure. Yes, these are all true. Aven, because I support white. Oh. Add all 3 runes. I think if we had at least 2 targets for the Runeforge dude, then we're in a good spot. So let me just look up rune really quick. We don't need to solidify the... I think there's only like so many runes that came out. Ugh, sucks. Okay, so look, Rune of Speed is not bad. We wanted Haste, right? Oh, Rune of Speed. Sure. Sure. Let's do that. We don't need the white one, though. Aven is flying blocker. We want to protect our planeswalkers. We don't have any planeswalkers yet, but yes. Yes, the Judge Gift Rector is so gorgeous. I was, and I am currently building, so you all know, an Akiri Lineslinger / Tevesh list that manipulates transmogrify and scramble effects, much like the Rakdos list I've showcased recently. The targets, though, for that list are Elish Norn and Arena Rector, and then you can use Tevesh to eat the Arena Rector. It's gross. It's also a Stax list. Is it good? It's kind of good. I've a handful of times I've been able to playtest it and get the Elish Norn / Arena Rector combo down on turn 3 consistently with Stax and or other effects to protect the combo. It's very, very fun. Elish Norn is a little goofy, but having, 2/3 thralls is better than not. And then obviously destroying any sort of creature strategies your opponents have is also very good, particularly if you get her out early. So we've gotten a few things in this list that I like. I think we're going to take some things out. A lot of people are saying Felidar Guardian, and in case you don't know what Felidar Guardian is, enters the battlefield, you may exile another target permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this is very good. This cat is used as part of a combo with Birthing Pod traditionally, I guess you can say, but it's also just a combo with Kiki Jiki. It's also just very good with anything that ETBs and does a thing. So let's just see where we are with our cards. We have room for 7 more cards. Let's just add Felidar Guardian. I think I want to look into blink effects though. So exile, return to battlefield effects. And my mind is slipping on some of them, but return battlefield. Let's just start there. Right. And we'll see what we got. Because any of these also work with Kiki Jiki. Right? Because they're haste enabled. They can do the thing. Oh, you know what? We haven't... Oh, man. We're going to have to remove a lot of stuff from this list because we haven't had any form of removal, any of those essentials yet. So let's just add like Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Deflecting Swat, Deadly Rollick. Despite Kelsien not being a priority, it's still good. We're also going to add swords to plowshares. Is it sword to plowshares? Is it just not showing up? There we go. Right, so at least 2 pieces of creature removal. Again, I wanted to add some sort of Clasm effects, so like Fire Covenant and our Toxic Deluge. Right. Is Toxic really good here? I think it's okay. Okay. But I can't seem to make it work in casual EDH. But I feel like the deck needs some draw. Oh, hell yes, it needs draw. Kaya Ghost Form Assassin comes to mind. Yeah, she does. Let's look at the exile effects, and then we'll look into forms of draw for the list. I think that's safe. We've got all of the tutors we need out of the way. We don't have any forms of draw, though. So we're going to be very stunted if we don't have a way to draw. I was just having this conversation earlier. This is something I feel like I've said on the channel, and if I haven't, drawing is so much more important than tutoring. Having a full hand is so much more important than tutoring in a lot of scenarios. Of course, like pulling the 1 win card from your list is very valuable, but having a full hand is so much better. So, and that's why you see a lot of, I don't believe in tier systems, but people do. But top tier list, you see them dominated with commanders that draw cards. And there's a reason for that. It helps you grind better, right? Yeah, it does. It does. So, Ephemerate. Remember, because Kelsien, the experience counters don't exist on Kelsien, we can use things like Ephemerate to blink Kelsien and get multiple pings in on a given turn, which is kind of cool in my book. So we can use that, and or just as a form of protection for the list. Screw using cards that say protect. We could just do this to bounce the hate bear that we want to protect. And obviously when it comes back, it is a new version of that creature. So if there was a spell targeting it, it doesn't matter. So let's add Ephemerate for now. It's a good one. It's better than Cloud Shift. cloud, whatever, we're going to see it. Unless we cloud shift. It's right there. It's better than that, right? Enchanted permanent dies. It's not good enough. I like this on Planeswalkers. It's kind of cool, but view the game as a whole without... How do you view the game as a whole without some sort of tier list in power? Tiers don't... I think it's... These competitions you see pop up with tournament results where you never see like the top tier list at the top really explains my philosophy on this. But players are the more important variable, coupled with the fact that in truly mixed pods, when you have different play styles, different decks being pitted up against each other and not just what you're accustomed to seeing, like you and your friends all playing proactive list and just like a big old circle jerk to see who can cast ad nauseum first. Obviously, the game's going to play out completely differently when you're facing down two Stax list, a guy who's going for mid-range combo, and you're there, with your Rock and Tevesh list, and you're like, shit, I'm not going to overcome all of this shit at once. This is not what I'm accustomed to. Also, like, budget is applied to many of these deck build. Some of these competitions let you use proxies, some of them don't. So obviously, budget is also a factor. Your seating order, your luck. Are you going first? Are you going last? There's so many variables to this game that it can never truly be competitive. So the idea that there's a tier list that exists, yes, while you're goldfishing, is the deck consistent at doing a thing? Sure, that means it's good, right? It's good at doing a thing. But you don't know how the hell your game's going to go until you sit down with 3 other players. I don't care how consistent your list is when you're goldfishing. I don't care that it can do a thing, but in a vacuum. How does it perform when you're playing against actual human beings? And the other issue there is like when people talk about the boogeymen of the meta or the lists that are top tier, when you see someone sit down with that list, everyone's gunning for your ass. It's just subconscious. They're like, oh, this is going to do the thing quickly, right? Or this is going to do the thing consistently. Moreover, this other guy. So I want to focus my attention on this player, which is a lopsided way of thinking, but you see it all the time. Too many variables for cEDH to even be truly competitive. It's silly to think of it that way. I think you just need to play at your absolute best. Obviously, certain lists are going to perform better than others. Kelsien, probably not going to perform that well. We'll soon find out. But those are some of my thoughts on Commander as a whole. Like, I don't view it like I'll put cEDH in the title of the video because I know people are looking for cEDH content. But it's just Commander to me. I just happen to be running a list that's $5,000. No, I just happen to be using the most efficient cards. You need to have a level playing field in that regard, at least. Lean and Relic Order, we already talked about. Let's see here. Let's change. Way off topic, but you have any interesting brewing lower powered commanders? Yeah. Yes and no. It's tricky because with lower powered commanders, I had to, when I went up against Sheldon Menery and the Masters of Modern crew on the previous Channel Fireball live stream, I was requested to build a list that was not cEDH. And it was tricky because I'm like, well, is Mana Crypt cEDH? Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen, like, the Command Zone use this shit. Or, like, I've definitely seen them use fetch lands into dual lands. So, like, how do you... And that's where my concept for casual or competitive came up, if you haven't seen the game show on the channel. Sort of just to poke fun of this format as a whole. Because no one bitches and moans about whether cards are casual or competitive more than Commander players. It's so absurd. There are players that are competitive. And then there are cards that are more efficient than other cards. But how you manipulate your list is the most important part. But at any rate, I was asked to make a list that was toned down. I had no idea where to start. I wound up asking a lot of my Patreon members their opinions, because we do have players that are pledging to the channel that do play casually. And they helped a lot. They're like, you need to take this out. You need, like, this is way too efficient. This does way too much. And I got dogpiled. In that live stream, if you watch the Channel Fireball live stream, the gang like dogpiled me because they expected me with my Balan list to just trash them, and because of that, like, I felt so far behind. So I guess I was the boogeyman in that group because everyone knew I was like the cEDH player when I was using a toned down version of a mono white list, which is really interesting. So that's also a factor. Your clout. Are people going to be scared of you when you sit down? Maybe. I don't know why. So let's see here. Yes, Kels. I'm trying to give Kels some love here. Okay. We're looking for things that blink things. And I think that just Ephemerate might be enough. Let's go ahead and continue this to see where we're standing with the list. Obviously, I want to look at the combo cards that we're incorporating here and see about adding more redundancies for said combo cards. Like as it stands now, I think we added Felidar Guardian. Did we? Okay. I don't necessarily like Felidar Guardian here, but it does work as a combo piece. With only Kiki-Jiki, mind you. So this is really becoming a Splinter Twin Kiki-Jiki list with Kelsien at the helm, right? We're not trying to go for a infinite grave strategy with a grave crawler loop and or a lean and relic water loop. There's a bunch of combos in Mardu we could incorporate, but I think we should just hone in on Kiki Splinter Twin. Like that's the combo, right? $102 cards. We're gonna have to cut some cards. But let me know what you all think. Competitive tiers. Do you like them? Do you love them? I was going to make that a topic for discussion in a video, but I feel like it might be too heated of a topic. I don't know. I feel like someone's going to complain at me about my opinions, which has definitely happened before, but I don't see tiers. I don't see tiers with this game at all. I think it's the concept of them is silly. And anytime someone tries to argue me about a list being better than mine or being better as a whole because of how, you know, a bunch of people consider it, it just doesn't matter. Okay, so we got 17 artifacts. Not that many. Like I said, I want to take out the Gorgon's head. So this list, Kelsien is going to go mid-range combo. Okay. Are you going to do a Vornklex list? No, probably not. Let's see here. However, just looking at these, Conqueror's Flail probably feels like the odd man out if I'm going to cut another artifact. However, it does give us free reign to do what we'd like on our turn. It also just makes Kelsien really big. So that's not bad. If you're tuning in late, the Basilisk Caller, the Deathtouch is kind of crucial for Kelsien because Kelsien, when it pings something, it just auto dies. So actually kind of a big deal. We've got Kiki combo going here. And what's nice about Treasonous Ogre, again, looking at this list as a whole now, we're relying on Kiki and Splinter Twin to do a thing, you know, and we can just, with our tutors, find up the red cards we need because they're both red and use Treasonous Ogre to power out that combo provided we have the appropriate cards set up. So for Kiki-Jiki, it would be either Felidar Guardian or Village Bell Ringer, right? And they both have one white pip in their cost, so you do need that. And so far as red combos are concerned, we have Splinter Twin alongside our Goblin Sharpshooter. And there's one other Splinter Twin combo with Village Bell Ringer as well. Right now, Felidar Guardian does not operate that way because when you blink the creature that has the aura attached to it, the aura goes away. So you obviously can't do that. Then you return the card to the battlefield. So I'm not really high on Felidar Guardian. I'm going to sideline it for now. I think we should add another combo creature. There's got to be a better one than Felidar Guardian. Is there? Name it for me. Is there another creature that untaps at least a singular creature on ETB? That's all I need to know. No Emil the Blessed because Emil is Selesnya. So Aura of Silence, Necromancy, Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead. Now we actually aren't incorporating any sort of lines of play, like any meaningful reanimate lines of play. But we're also not running anything like Rest in Peace or Planar Void to exile the graveyards, right? So we're going to have graveyards to feed off of. So this is seemingly good. I think we can probably take out one of these aura enchantments. I know people are really thrilled about having necromancy at instant speed. I think that's cool. I think that having something that's 2 CMC as opposed to 3 CMC is just strictly better, particularly if you're not winning or doing anything meaningful at instant speed. If it's you removing a reanimate target from an opponent, that's maybe something. But speaking of metas, my own meta, no one plays a reanimate strategy outside of myself. So having that at instant speed is just okay. So I'm going to sideline this for now. This puts us under the 100 mark, but we're also going to incorporate more cards as we go along. I'm just cutting out the things I consider to be chaff for the list, right? Prophetic Ravings is the next odd man out here. It is odd. It's draw though, and we're trying to cut down certain effects here, certain redundancies, just to allow us to get more draw. And Prophetic Ravings is technically draw. So we're going to leave that for now. It's also haste enabling for 1 red, which is still really good. Is this enough interaction? Well, I would like to incorporate Ricochet Trap, right? Ricochet Trap would be really nice. The Entomb, again, still feels kind of weak, but think about what we need to do. If we have Village Bellringer on the field already, then we just need to get Kiki-Jiki down. Also, mind you, I'd like to get Dualcaster Mage in here as well. I like the copy effects a lot. Like Fork and Reverberate, I place them very highly in list outside of blue. Copying spells is huge. I mean, if you've seen my Wart the Raid Mother list, you know I really like copying spells. So we're probably going to add one or both of those. Our land base is fine for now. I think that having both Cabal, Pit, and Barbarian Ring is going to bite us in the ass at a certain point. Like we want, because we're in 3 colors, it would be probably best to have lands that tap for multiple colors. What is the Triome for Mardu? Isn't there a Savai? I don't remember. There's a Triome in Mardu that we can use, and maybe we do, because the list is going slower. We can probably afford to tutor that and just leave it on the field. Arcana Mirror is incredible. Yep, Arcana Mirror is incredible. It does so much work for Timna, Kamal, Hate Bears. Okay, so we've got our relevant tutors here. We've got Buried Alive, Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, Open the Armory, right, for our Animate Auras, and specifically Splinter Twin. Steel Shaper's Gift, which is going to give us our protection equipment, right? Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots. Reanimate coupled with Animate Dead and Dance of the Dead is more than enough redundancy in my book, because a lot of our Hate Bears are going to be targeted. So having at least 3 of those is good to just bring them back. Is it Savai Triome? Okay. I think part of me wants to put in Savai Triome for Cabal Pit. Yeah. I value Barbarian Ring just a little bit more highly. You don't see that many indestructible things in cEDH, so damage as opposed to negative, it's really a toss-up, but I do believe we have... Oh, I'm sorry. We have more black than red. Well, I know for a fact I want to incorporate Ricochet Trap, Fork, or Reverberate, and a handful more red cards, perhaps Dualcaster Mage, which would kind of steer us to wanting Twin Flame or Heat Shimmer. Bottom line, I think we want Savai Triome, though. So let me just go about adding that to the list. Yeah, no, I doubt Kelsie's going to do much for us in general. I think Kelsie's probably going to kill Dorks. Kelsie's probably going to kill Dorks at best. Any opposing Hate Bears, and it's really just come down to Hull Breacher now. Unless you're playing against an opposing Stax list, and at that point, you want to leave those anyways. It auto kills Notion Thief, which is good, right? Safari protection is just okay. We don't need that. Us doing that, us shutting down all of the stacks we've laid out is probably not good, right? If it means protecting one or two things in a given instance, I would rather we run Brought Back or Savine's Reclamation or anything to just persist with said stacks piece, as opposed to being like, hey, I've phased out and I'm safe, and you know, my list, I get to put the stacks down later. Not that good for this particular list. I think Savai Triome makes sense. It's a slow card, but I like it. Am I expecting a ban of Hull Breacher? No. I don't. If they ban it, I don't understand why. It's funny because I was just speaking with one of the Patreon members about this. Raphelos is banned, but Kinnon's not banned, and Raphelos is arguably weaker between the two. I mean, Kinnon is not only an outlet for the mana you're producing, it hits more things, where you need to have Forest for Raphelos. I don't understand how the banning of cards works with the RC, and I've read their whole spiel about their philosophy on it. It still makes no sense. But that's a different story. That's a topic for another time. What was I saying? I would like to add another creature that combos with Kiki-Jiki. That's right. Untap creature. Let's just try this again. We're going to narrow it down even further. Again, you can use a creature that untaps a thing, or exiles a thing and brings it back, like the Feldar Guardian, but I'm not too high on that. Let's just add this. Let's add a Reverberate. Let's add Ricochet Trap. I love all these cards. Do I think that Kelsey's going to be reliably 4 damage? Probably not. So I'm not going to add Bolt Ben. You can add Zealous Conscripts. Shit. Do we add Zealous Conscripts? You know what? It's probably going to come down to that. Because Zealous Conscripts is not a bad card. I know people dislike its 5 CMC, but it's actually a very good card. For the effect it has is very good. I also want to look over some Planeswalkers in a second before we get to testing this. Yes, we can do Combat Celebrant. Man. I'm almost a little bit more interested in Combat Celebrant opposed to Zealous Conscripts for this list, just to keep the... Not that we care about our curve in this list, because we're not using Ad Nauseam. I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky working with Kelsey as the commander. Yeah, Restoration Angel works. I'm trying to find the untap as opposed to exile, though. So let's see here, because the card I'm looking for, I would prefer it work with both Kiki-Jiki and Zealous, Kiki-Jiki and Splinter Twin. So having something that exiles a thing is not good in my book. But does Splinter Twin and Combat Celebrant work? If I create a copy of, yeah, right? I can do Splinter Twin and Combat Celebrant, because I make a copy of Combat Celebrant, it attacks, it exerts itself, then I make everything untap that attacked this turn, or just untap all creatures you control. If that's the case, we're just going to go with this. When you do untap all other creatures you control after this combat phase, there's an additional... Okay, so that's it. Combat Celebrant. Fine. Yes. Sparring Mummy. Sparring. Oh, okay. Before we lock in Combat Celebrant, I'm assuming I passed Sparring Mummy. It's white, correct? How high is Sparring Mummy? Wait up. Four CMC. We can go with Combat Celebrant here. All right. So are there any other meaningful pieces of removal or stack interaction that you could think of that would be great for Kelsey? Any staples that I have missed for Kelsien? Let me know. I'll slowly scroll through here so you have a chance to take it all in. I said slowly and I just shot through there. We do need to remove some cards, mind you. God, we don't even have draw. We don't even really have effective draw. That's still the major issue here. Mana Tithe isn't bad. Yeah. Archon of Mary is in there. This commander does blow. Okay, so let me just look at the list in totality now. So while I have that loading, let me just look up draw. And I want the draw to be from a permanent, right? We didn't add Dark Confidant. We can, right? We didn't add Dark Confidant. We can add a Dark Tutelage. We're probably going to take a lot of damage, but to be honest, I'd rather just have consistent draw. Oh, we could add Akiri, Fearless Voyager. Okay. I mean, we could add things like Mask of Memory. Right? Mask of Memory is not horrible. Because we technically have like an aggro commander. So Mask of Memory on Kelsien is fine. Sensei's Divining Top we did not incorporate yet either. But it would help us to, you know, rifle through our list to find the proper stacks or interaction. We don't have Wheel of Fortune in here. I don't like running wheels unless the list is proactive. I don't like giving my opponents draw. Generally try to avoid wheels if the list is not firing them off on turn 1 or turn 2. It makes no sense to give your opponent who's like dropped all their fast mana, has a hand of 2 cards. It doesn't make sense to give them 7 cards. It's usually not good. It's usually not good. Despite my desire to fuel a Hull Breacher, I can't do it. Man, this list. Yeah, it really does need draw, though. Hushwing Griff is in there, and Hushwing Griff might be removed. So, okay. We obviously need to add draw. And I think that because this is aggro light, it's aggro adjacent, we're going to add Mask of Memory. Right? That's a good draw engine. We can also add, because we can add the Looter Scooter, right? Smuggler's Copter. It's very easy to crew. You draw a discard. None of this feels good. I think that Dark Confidant and like the ones we've mentioned already. Dark Confidant, this is good. I like Dark Tutelage a lot. I don't care about the life lost. And that might be it. Like, I like Tome of Legends as well, but this is good. Spirit of the Labyrinth is another great one because, to be honest, like, we're not going to be drawing that many cards with this list, and things like Dark Confidant and Dark Tutelage just put them into our hands, so not so bad. Also, Necropotence as well, right? Spirit of... This is very good for stopping those lists that are much more aggressive than us. So I like that as a stacks piece for this particular brew. I don't like Phyrexian Arena. I think Phyrexian Arena is a casual card. We don't really care about life as a resource with this particular list outside of Treasonous Ogre. I mean, we're already using Dark Confidant, so why not just go all in, is what I'm saying. But I personally like Dark Tutelage more because I can get it on the field that much quicker at 2 generic and 1 black. I'll always use it before I go to Phyrexian Arena. It's just less demanding on the player, their mana base. I wasn't really joking about Akiri. I mean, we could incorporate Akiri. Doesn't feel good. Is that enough draw engine? Is that enough draw engine for us? Probably not with what we've just added, but I think we're going to stop there for now. Let's just look at the list. Skeletal Scrying, don't have that. Palace Jeller, don't have that. Jessica's Will. Jessica's Will. Okay, guys, so we don't have Jessica's Will in here. Neither do we have a couple of rituals. Because Kelsey's not a huge priority. Let's take a gander at just these rituals. So I know we want Rite of Flame. We're going to have to cut a lot of shit in a second. Rite of Flame, we want Dark Ritual. At least those two. At least those two. Jessica's Will is tough because I don't know how much we're going to be pushing for Kelsey. And when we do get Kelsey down, I don't know how many cards we're going to really make mana off of from our opponents. I'm kind of more into just the permanence of things with this list. So reliable fast mana that we can shoot off is better. I think Seething Song is arguably the better ritual here. Because I don't really see myself putting Kelsey down often. As sad as that is to say. I don't know about Bergie either. Bergie's cute. We could incorporate Bergie, but it's a triple colored list, right? Despite us using Treasonous Ogre. I would rather use Treasonous Ogre to funnel the generic cost than I would rely on Bergie to storm into a turn. At least Rite of Flame and Dark Ritual. I guess you can make an excuse for Cabal Ritual, but we don't have that many things going into our graveyard. I do think that we should run Sevene's Reclamation. I do think we should use Sevene's Reclamation. We got a lot to cut. We can utilize Culling the Weak. Can we, though? How many creatures... Infernal Plunge, Culling the Weak. Like, how many creatures are we willing to sacrifice for a turn? Like, we're getting rid of a Hate Bear for a different Hate Bear. Like, what are we doing? I don't know if that's the right choice. We're killing Kelsey to get a Hate Bear? Probably. Grand Abolisher is not really important for this list. Azra Oddsmaker. Bob, Timna. Yeah, you can incorporate Timna. Shit. Why aren't you just playing Timna, I hear you ask? Because this was Patreon suggested, okay? Okay. We're going to stop there with the ads because we need to cut a lot. And then I want to test it at least once or twice before we have to close this video out. We had a few sidebars there, but they were good sidebars. So much shit. We're going to definitely cut some redundancies out of this list. So, and the redundancies I'm referring to are likely combo cards. I'm not a huge fan of Congress Flail anymore. Okay, so Trinity Sphere, need it. Arcane Signet, sure. Damping Sphere, yes. Fellwar Stone, sure. Lightning Greaves, Mask of Memory. Sphere, Boots. Thorn of Amethyst. Okay, we don't need this. Do we need this? Hold up. Hold up. Just looking at where we can put that generic. Don't really think we need Mana Vault. Like 2 Timna's lists for most for Stax the most. You like Sakashima Timna. Remove Rune. You mean Rune who? Rune Forge Champion? Mother of Runes? Alright, hold on. Artifacts first, gang. Artifacts first. Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Mana Crypts. These all make sense to me. The only thing we're missing is Lotus Petal. But part of me wants these to have some permanence. Like cheating out some of the stuff early is kind of relevant. But in Basilisk Collar, man, as cute as it is to kill things automatically with Deathtouch. Yeah, we still keep it. Okay. So we're in the middle of making cuts. Making cuts here. I still like Treasonous Ogre. I still really like Treasonous Ogre. It just pays for those generic costs. But we could probably cut it. Okay, so all of the combo cards are... All of our combo cards are Combat Celebrant, Goblin Sharpshooter, Village Bellringer, Splinter Twin, Kiki-Jiki. Now, Kiki works with both Combat Celebrant and our Village Bellringer. Goblin Sharpshooter only works with Splinter Twin. Splinter Twin also works with Combat Celebrant and Village Bellringer. So arguably the weakest of these is Goblin Sharpshooter. Is Goblin Welder a must? No, it's not. We don't have any Grave Hate. Like, we don't have Rest in Peace. We don't have Cling to Dust for single target removal. We're not using Tormod's Crypt or anything like that. We've got 0 Grave Hate, right? So us stopping an Underworld Breach strategy is just us laying down relevant stacks, right? Taxes, things of that nature. I think Mother of Runes is just okay. These are mainly excuses for Ranger Captain of Eos. However, I do want to state that Welder and Engineer really don't have enough targets, do they? Here's what we're going to do. I'm still not that high on Mother. If it's only to protect Stax pieces, Hate Bears, that is, it's just okay. Yes. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I was thinking the backside for draw. The backside of what now? Oh, Berge. We're going to get rid of Mother of Runes. Yeah. You could. Deafening Silence, Prophetic Ravings is looking on the weaker end. Reconnaissance is also, because I know we're not prioritizing Kelsien, Reconnaissance is just meh. Also, I'm going to take out Maze of Ith and put in Shatter Skull Smashing as further removal and mana. Despite our need for red at a lack, it's the better MDFC over Agadim's Awakening. Though Agadim's here is arguably okay. We're not really accelerating that hard. Prophetic is there predominantly for the haste, but it also lets us rummage, right? So we can set up our animate target, which is just okay. We have how many auras and equipment for Sigarda's Aid? It's important to note that this list doesn't win at instant speed. The only way this list could win at instant speed is provided we go back to using Goblin Sharpshooter, right? And then you have Sigarda's Aid drop Splinter Twin at flash speed, and you're able to set up the Goblin Sharpshooter line of play off turn. Then you could win at instant speed. That's the beauty of that combo. But again, it works with less cards. So I'm not high on it for that reason. I'm not even that high on Necropotence here. I feel like Necropotence is going to be very hard to drop. But we need to put cards in our hand somehow. These runes are nice because they cantrip, but by and by, they're not great cards. So if I were to take both these runes out and take this guy out, that puts us where we need to be. Okay. Oh, and look at that. Is it worth playing them? No, probably not. Did you tell your Patreon it was bad? Like, so regarding the list that we're going to be brewing for February, it doesn't really matter what I think. It's all, so for 3 of these weeks, it's all Patreon suggested. So just lists that they would want to see brewed. And personally, I've always liked Kelsien. It's just not a good card. However, we are attempting to pull something off here. And I think that this is just mediocre. What did I say land-wise I wanted to put in here? Yeah, we can honestly just leave it at 29. I was saying Shatter Skull Smashing, I believe. Yeah. Okay, let's just test this as it is. I just removed necromancy. What's everyone's hard on with necromancy? Someone tell me why they like necromancy at 3 CMC. Because you can flash it? Someone explain to me why necromancy is so good. Clearly, I think it's overrated. But let's go ahead and start. Let's see what we can do. Are we going to keep this hand? Sure. Let's just pretend we're not on the play. We'll do this. We'll get rid of this. We'll do this. I should probably draw a card. We'll do this. And the next, I mean, we have double red. So obviously like plateau would be good. Plateau or Badland. Let's just go with plateau here because most of our hate bears are white, right? And then we'll do Thorn of Amethyst. Again, this is where testing a Stax list is weird because I don't really know what I'm going against. Okay. I'm trying to catch up with the live stream chat here is why necromancy's good. I'm not seeing enough reasons. Okay, so this is a turn 2 Kelsien. Hell yeah, living the dream. Right, non-creature spell. Right, so we'll do this. Bam, I attack with Kelsien. Take 2. Why not? Bam, I kill your thing. Let's just say we're going to use energy as a gauge for experience. All right, so we got 1 experience counter. Let's just pretend we killed a Llanowar elf. Oh, wow. Yes, because we needed both the boots right now. Jesus Christ. We're going to play Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Oh, my God. Okay, arguably, the best thing to do here would be to hold on to that fork and just pray for like a decent draw spell or like someone to do their ad nauseum over top of the Thorn of Amethyst because they're trying to remove it and then continue on with whatever they're doing. So we can anticipate potentially a good spell to copy with fork. However, if we're just playing this any other way, we're going to do that. No, I'm sorry, plateau. And we'll move to equip this. We don't need to. I'll tap out for that. No matter what we do, we don't have a play elsewise because Thorn of Amethyst makes it so that Red Elemental Blast is 2 CMC. And arguably the better of the equipments here is the Swiftfoot Boots, so we're just going to do that. Whatever. Attack. I have a 3/3. Cool. Before damage. Blam. I kill your other elf. I just keep destroying your elves. I'm a 4/4 now. Before damage. Check it. Okay. That was okay. All right, so this is where Open the Armory becomes Mask of Memory because we need to draw somehow, right? So we're probably going to go for Mask of Memory here. What sucks is that it's very expensive to get to go off. Like we can't even cast Mask of Memory. There's not another piece of equipment we grab that does draw. I think the only other one that would arguably be good for this list, if it's actually doing the thing, like if it's actually making list go slower, would be to go for Sword of Fire and Ice, right? And you know what? I forgot to send this in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and just add this now. So if you all want to try this, again, it's very tough to check, but you can see how this plays out essentially with your own hands. But let's just restart. Let's go for it again. I can already tell that opening hand was okay. This opening hand is better. So we'll go ahead and drop the Bloodstained Mire. Let's just get this out of the way now. We're going to want to go for a Badlands. And then we'll shuffle up. Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox is going to eat that silence. Why not? And then we'll go ahead and cast our Wishclaw Talisman. Let's go ahead here. Oh man, Timna. I think Timna's cute, but I think that either Trini Sphere or Rule of Law is better here. I kind of want to get Kelsey down before I put Timna down because I can start drawing after the fact. But right now, a better turn 2, if I'm playing for Stax, is just to get the ball rolling on the Stax package. And arguably, Trini Sphere would be the better option here because Swiftfoot Boots is the only thing I'm looking at that isn't going to let me. So, I mean, I could do Wishclaw Talisman into a Dark Ritual and cast more, right? I can get the boots down and a Stax piece. No, that's not even true because that's 4 mana total. None of this is feeling great. We'll do the Trini Sphere, though. I think that's the more meaningful play. Okay, so we don't have a land. And that's all right. Like I said, what we were going to do is play Kelsey. We'll play Kelsey now on turn 3. Cool. Next turn. Kelsey obviously attacked, probably hit something off turn. We're going to assume it killed a thing. We're going to get a counter. Buried Alive is interesting here because when we do... man, part of me would just prefer to have a Necrotic Ooze line of play. Because at least, like while I'm looking at this, at least I could Bury It Alive and then have a combo set up for myself from the buried pile, as opposed to burying alive something that doesn't let me combo instantaneously. Because Buried Alive right now, we're probably going to take Buried Alive out of this list. It doesn't do too much for us. This is sort of a remnant of a previous combo intention, right? Because Buried Alive with this deck's current makeup isn't doing too much for us. Duly noted. Okay, let's go ahead and drop Timna now. We're probably going to end after turn 5. We'll swing with Kelsey. Kelsey happens to be a 3/3. If someone wants to block it, they can. I doubt there's going to be one person to swing at. We'll draw a card, lose a life. I'm not going to track that. Really just need a land would be great. Maybe another land for Buried Alive. Moving on. Okay. I really think Dualcaster might have worked better. We can always add Dualcaster. Karmic Guide is... So Karmic Guide, in case you guys don't know, it's the angel that brings stuff back. Brings stuff back. Let's see here. Flying protection from black. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So the concept here would be to bring back Kiki-Jiki, make another copy of Karmic Guide, but with that on the stack, you would kill Kiki-Jiki, right? And then you would repeatedly do this. We don't have a way. We're not doing like a Protean Hulk pile with Viscera Seer. We're not setting up the line of play. And again, another green card that could set up the combo for us. I'm not high on Buried here. I think what we're going to do is switch that out, but we're going to go ahead and start up another game because all of our combos require either Village Bellringer and or Combat Celebrant coupled with Splinter Twin and or Kiki-Jiki. Those are the combos right now. And are those the most efficient combos? They are all 2-card combos, and Village Bellringer is arguably best because it works in tandem with Kelsien to ping something twice and or ping 2 separate things, potentially get additional experience counters. Combat Celebrant is just okay, but it does allow us to push for more combat, which gives us more opportunities to potentially kill things with Kelsien as well. So I like those 2 the best. Are they great? They're okay. I think Karmic Guide would be interesting to run in a loop here, but it depends on what you're doing. We're not going to be adding a sack outlet to this list. There's no need for it outside of a combo, right? And we're not trying to add anything that doesn't help. Well, there's Forbidden Orchard. That doesn't help outside of the combo. Oh, nah, you don't start with Forbidden Orchard. Not here. This is not a keepable hand. I'm not sure why I'm illustrating this, but I mean, I think you would want to do something like this into this. Let's go ahead and take a gander at this list. I'm going to remove some things, insert some things, and call it a day with this particular deck. I think it's okay. I don't mind Burning Rune Demon. Again, like, we're not too concerned about our life total, so we can incorporate a Rune Scar Demon, Burning Rune Demon. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. But bearing in mind that the Rune Scar Demon doesn't, a Burning Rune Demon, excuse me, doesn't really have a great combo line for this list. Let's just go ahead and get rid of Buried Alive right now. Because what this list really needs is just draw. I think what this list is hurting for, hankering for, wanting desperately is draw. So maybe we incorporate... Man, Ad Nauseam's going to suck in this list. You're not going to go that far. Do need to incorporate more draw. So what I'm going to do is just add in some functional draw for the list. And it could be equipment that lets us draw. Land tax, sort of, filter your deck. So land tax is great, but not here. We only have 3 basics. So you run out of land tax instantaneously. I think that draw is essential here. We have more than enough tutor for the necessary components for our combo. I think we've got plenty of stacks. Like, clearly all those hands that we saw and tested had stacks, a variety of it. Again, another draw utility is what I'm going to add to this list, and then I think I'm going to call it with Kelsien. It'll do a thing. It's going to do that thing very slowly. And if that thing is trying to put down Kiki-Jiki and Combat Celebrant and or Village Bellringer, damn, it's going to do that very slowly. The quickest way we can go about doing that would be to incorporate a line of play that utilized cards like Victimize. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice a creature. If you do, return those cards to the battlefield tapped. Now, this will work with Kiki-Jiki and Village Bellringer because when you bring them back, they're tapped, but then Village Bellringer untaps them. Kiki-Jiki will let you continue the combo. And this one doesn't care about the creature's CMC, right? So you can use Victimize. This and Buried Alive obviously work. And if we're just trying to look for efficient or quick ways to go about doing it, this might be the one way to go about doing it. Obviously, there's other combos that we've briefly discussed over this video and combos you've seen me produce in other decks that we can incorporate here. I'm not sure Kelsien gets there so far as cEDH is concerned. I think it would be better to utilize a creature that had Stax potential itself. However, Mardu is a decent color subset for comboing, so at least we get that value provided here. I think what we would do also is remove Hushwing Gryff, despite my like of the card. I think that removing this and just incorporating in how, honestly, Tome of Legends might be what we add, and then the other draw utility can be, I don't know, you tell me. Necropotence is in the deck. I think Necrotic Ooze is great. Again, Necrotic Ooze is fantastic. I would still like to incorporate it, but I don't know how. It would have to remove, we would have to remove one of our play lines. Bob is in the list. God. I'm not really sure. I mean, I know. I keep hearing this. It's really what we want? Is this really what we want? I think Azure is a little bit more of a meme than anything. All right. We're gonna stop it there. You know that you need draw though. If you're gonna take this list and try to elevate it yourself, I think we got it close to where we want it. I'll probably add another ritual instead so that I can play out these spells a little bit more quickly. I just want to look at my balance here though. 21 to 23 to 23. Okay. We are going to add Jessica's Will because we managed to get Kelsien down pretty quickly. And red is more important to this list than anything else from what I was seeing. and just in regards to our combos. So the red ritual is probably best. With that, I'm going to close out this video. But guys, thank you for joining me on another cold brew. I appreciate that. And of course, I'd like to do a special thank you to my Patreon members. You guys make this possible. So thank you so much for helping this channel out and helping me produce the content here. I think Kelsien is fine. It is an odd choice for a cEDH commander. I think that with the right hand and an aggressive mulligan, you can certainly get to a board state that's favorable for you, and that is slowing the game and progressing to a slow mid-range combo with Kelsien. Ideally, these combo lines will play out a little bit more quickly, provided you have the appropriate tutors in hand. And again, we're running, we have a series of great tutors in black alone. We should be able to find the creatures to combo out. Again, I said it off the bat, but I think this list is really desiring to be Jund. It really wants those creature tutors because we're trying to rely on creature combos here outside of the obvious Splinter Twin lines of play. But Kelsien has a chance. I don't think it's going to be highly competitive, but with the right mindset, the right player behind the deck, and obviously proper tweaking, this list can definitely still play a competent game. Again, my name is Patrick Marlette, and happy brewing, babies.